Hello and welcome back to this series on the kleshas. So we are today talking about Dvesha or aversion. So this is the flip side of what we talked about, well, not yesterday, the day before, because I got them out of order. Raga or attachment, which means pulling towards or clinging. So this is, according to Patanjali, one of the five obstacles to enlightenment and therefore a cause of our suffering because we are not wanting it to stop or to leave us or to change in any way. We want it to stay the same. We want to keep it. We want to cling to it and grasp it. This is the opposite. So Dvesha is the opposite side of the coin to Raga, and it means we don't want it at all. We've got an aversion to it and we want to push it away. So we want things to be perfect. We want things to be how we want them. We don't want things happening in life that we kind of don't like or that our ego doesn't like or thinks that it's not a nice experience or a pleasant experience. So this is kind of pain and this is pleasure. But what we might be missing is that in the experience that we don't find pleasurable, that there may be a lot of growth, a lot of expansion, a lot of learning. And remember that all this comes from avidya, which is the first klesha, and this is the root of the tree. So I've drawn a little tree. So avidya is, remember, the ignorance of our true self. So if we know who we are and we know that we are this higher self, this beautiful self, and this at the core of our being that we are unchanging, and no matter what our experiences in life are, that um we are still love, we are still light, we are still source, we are still part of the divine, then we don't need to push away things that we don't like or pull towards us things that we do like. We can just enjoy the experience for what it is. We can be content. So if we just go over here, this is kind of like this example of someone that is flipping between these two things. So one minute we're like, yay, this is really good. We are on holiday and we're having a lovely time and we're having a drink, meeting friends, and then oh, we've got to come home and we don't want to come home. We want to cling up here. And then when we come home, something happens. So say we have a leak in the house, we kind of plummeted further down into Dvesha, and we are in pain and we desperately want to get back to this sense of pleasure. So maybe we think, that the house having this leak, once that's fixed, once that's gone away, I will then feel joy, but I can't feel it here. Once it gets fixed, ooh, we're back up here, but then we get a toothache. Oh no, we're back into pain and dvesha, and we want to push that away. We do not want this pain. We don't want to feel it. We don't want to experience it. We want to be back up here. And then we go to the dentist and yay, we feel happy again. What we want to find as a yogi is balance. We're always looking for the middle path here. So we want to find this balance. Now, what we can't see is that there isn't any such thing as really good or bad experiences, because what we don't know is that there may be growth and learning and teachings in these places. If we have fear, which is a fear of something happening like the toothache, the ill health, the leak, we try to do our best not to experience those things. But if we face our fears, it will set us free. Because if we do these things, if we go on that journey that we're scared to go on, I'm going meeting a friend today at a spa, and it's one of my fears. It's one of my devashas. I would rather just never have to drive to new places because I don't like it. What if I get lost? What if I can't park? What if the other road users on the road are crazy? But then I wouldn't be able to do this part. I wouldn't get the joy. So if I can find this balance, face the fears, do the thing that scares me, and have some pleasure in doing those things. This also can be seen in the pattern of addiction. So we're trying to recreate this pleasure, this raga. We're trying to pull towards us this state of pleasure. and avoid negative feelings, which is Dvesha. So if we have trouble sitting with our emotions in a sober state, in a drug-free state, all of those things, without drugs, alcohol, caffeine, whatever your drug of choice is, we then end up in this cycle because you're gonna be taking the thing to get the high, even drinking the coffee to wake yourself up. Then it wears off, then you go down here. Even sugar, you get that sugar crash. So you can kind of see this pattern of addiction here. We can also talk about this in our yoga practice in the way that we might be drawn towards raga and we cling to those poses that we love. And I often see it in class for students that say, oh, if it's a slow class today and it's more focused and calm, and it's all to do with kind of long holdings, or we're looking at breathing, we're more low to the floor. Some people kind of like, no, I want to be moving, I need to be moving, I like to do all the strenuous poses and the fast-paced poses, but what you're missing is the joy in the finding that growth in why is it that you can't sit in a pose or meditate for 10 minutes? Why is it that your mind is in discontent or dis-ease because you think that you need to have something different in order to feel that balanced state? Or it could be the opposite to you. You really don't like the plank poses and the strength and the balances, but you're quite happy to roll around on the floor and do that kind of practice. All practice is good, but especially if you're practicing at home, if you kind of you're in control without being in a led class, then you will tend to just practice what you love and never practice what you don't like, what you want to push away. So you won't have a balanced yoga practice. So remember that circumstances and external events are always neutral. We know this. 2 people, 3 people can have completely different experience in that same situation. It is our perception that gives us the label of good or bad. We decide, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Do we like it? Do we not like it? Are we clinging to it or are we pushing it away? And this can be people as well as situations, people that you love and you want to pull towards you and spend lots of time with, people that you have an aversion to and you want to push the hell away. If it's a question of safety and those people are not safe for you to be around, or they're just constantly, like we call them, drains and radiators, and they're just draining your energy, of course, use your discretion. But if it's just because, they trigger you a little bit, perhaps there's some growth here. Perhaps if you can learn to see what it is that triggers you in this person, because people are often mirrors. And it sometimes is something in you that you're not facing up to, which is why you're resistant to that person. And then finally, just touching on this little Zen story, which is a beautiful story of a Chinese farmer and a horse. So the story goes that one day they lost a horse and it ran away. It ran away, and everybody in the village came to the farm and said, "Oh my goodness, this is such a bad, bad situation. I can't believe you've lost your horse." And the farmer said, "Maybe, maybe." The next day, the horse came back and it brought with it 7 wild horses. And the villagers said, "Oh, what good fortune, what good luck you've had. This is amazing." The farmer said, "Maybe." The next day, the son was taming one of the wild horses and broke his leg. The villagers came round once again and said, "I'm so sorry to hear about your son. What bad luck, what bad fortune." And the father said, "Maybe." The next day, the army came to town and was signing people up of fighting age, and the son was exempt because he'd broken his leg. And the villagers came around, and you guessed it, they said, "What brilliant fortune, you are so lucky." And the farmer said, "Maybe." And you can see how that story could continue through this pattern of Raga and Dvesha, with people thinking it's brilliant, it's good, stick a good label on it, or it's bad, it's negative, and we don't know what's down the road and why we've had to go through this experience or situation which may be for our highest good. So coming back to avidya, if we remember who we are and we remember that at the core of our being, we cannot even be extinguished. We cannot die. We are made of energy, and we are an enduring, indistinguishable spark at the center of our being. Then none of this matters. We can just enjoy the journey and stay in balance. I hope that's been really useful for you today. The next klesha, number 5, is a really tough one. It's a tough one for the most practiced and learned spiritual guru. So we'll come back tomorrow and talk about that. But I hope you found this useful. Let me know in the comments if you have, and if you would like to practice this kind of work with me a little bit more. I do have a VIP membership group where I go into these kind of teachings in great depth, an hour class each month, and how to bring this kind of stuff into our daily life, to help us to live in more balance, more peace, and more joy. That space, the doors are closed at the moment. I open them a few times a year. They will be opening again in September. So if that's of interest to you, it's just a small monthly charge, and you get yoga classes in there, meditations, monthly trainings, and group coaching to help you to bring your questions to me, and I can answer them there. Do let me know, pop me a comment, pop me a message, and I will put you on the waiting list and invite you in September, if not before. So if I feel individually that there's a need for you to be in the space, sometimes I'll make an exception. So reach out to me, let me know, have fun playing with this, just see how it pops up in your life today, and I'll see you again tomorrow.